Good Friday afternoon. Victor, you're here
Hello.
on a Friday evening for you.
Yes.
Oh, wait, do you have another meeting to go to? Is that why
No.
you didn't
That's
double book
just
yourself?
phone doing random stuff.
Oh, okay. It would have been okay. You can do two meetings at once, right? We all do.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for others, you just need to. I would just need to stop this and say every 5 minutes and say yes, I agree, and come back.
Yep. Karan, hello, Vladislav. Thanks for
Hey.
joining us, everybody, live today. In case you're new here with us and you don't know who we are, my name is Darren Pope. This over here is Victor Farsick, and we are the co-host of a podcast called DevOps Paradox. Woo!
Okay, that's Friday,
God,
and you don't even drink alcohol. I mean, I'm impressed.
I don't. Yeah. Anyway, podcast comes out on Wednesdays at 6 a.m. Eastern, noon CET, and on Fridays we do this live stream, and we're still doing it for the moment. That is not going to change, at least not the plan. But as travel starts to happen again, we may not show up live. Could be, right?
Or we might show in different locations.
We could show, that would be fun.
Hotel rooms, for example, or things like
Yeah.
that.
Well, hotels are easy. I just don't know if you're walking down the street of someplace else, if it would work or not. So, but anyway, yes. Good morning, good evening, Maz. Good to see you, and Vladislav. Yes, that was close. I don't know what happened. It's just been one of those days. Personally, this is one of the biggest days in my life. February 11th is.
Why?
It's the day my daughter was born.
Oh, congrats.
Thank you. And this year she is 29. 29.
She's a woman. She's not a daughter
is.
anymore.
No, she's always my daughter. She's always going to be my
True.
little girl. Okay,
True.
now you're going to start making me cry. I'm not going to go there today. But anyway, yes, I look smart in my black shirt. It's only because it's the only thing I had clean. I ran out of everything else. That's not completely true, but I saw this today and I knew what I was going to be having for lunch. So if I dropped anything, at least it would hide in the black. So here we go. Yes, and it's happy birthday to my baby girl. This has been another boring week over the past week. News-wise, there has not been hardly anything coming out at all. I saw a couple of things come in late today, but that was it. Is everybody still on vacation? Is that what it is?
No, it's the same cycle, I think, now. We're all waiting for the next KubeCon.
Next, whatever it is.
Then-
When is the next one?
May.
May, okay.
Yeah, so it's quite a long wait still.
That's true. So it's just, we're waiting for new things. So it's okay. Now, fair warning to everybody. Remember that Monday, even though today is February 11th, Monday is Valentine's Day. So for all of us that have significant others, fair warning. Now, it still doesn't mean that I won't remember anything to do, but I'm at least saying it out loud for the moment.
If I say it out loud, then I don't have an excuse anymore to forget.
No, you do. You could just say, I forgot. He said what? Let's get into the show. Okay, here we go. So this week's episode was a rehash of a post that we went through about DevOps responsibilities. And this was the managed infrastructure and the whole thing. But what was interesting about this episode is Victor lost his bleep.
Did I?
As we're going. Yes. You laughed so hard, and it was pretty funny. I mean, it was just one of those things to where your funny bone got tickled and you lost it and couldn't shut up. So
Okay.
it was one of those. But again, it was a recap. So if you watched us live talk about that article, we basically went for 20. How long did we go for this one? 26 minutes talking about this article instead of just a handful of minutes. Sergio, hello. Thanks for joining us live today. And we've had some other questions come up, and for everybody, if you're with us live, because I can't always see who's here with us live, thanks for all the posts you've been putting over in the Slack channel, over in the podcast channel, because you've been bringing up some good ideas around some of the podcasts and giving us some more ideas. So thank you for that. I can't remember if we had any questions specifically on this one or not, or comments on this. But again, we don't believe that DevOps is something that exists. Did I say that out loud? Even though that's what we do in our day job.
I do think it exists. I just don't think that it exists in practice very often.
Yeah. Speaking of practice, we have, talking about the podcast, we've got 3 recordings next week. All at 6 a.m. my time, 3 days in a row, by the way. It's on your calendar.
Are you complaining because it's too late for you?
6 a.m. No, it's fine. 6 a.m. is fine for me. I'm already up a few hours at that point. But the week after, we have Patrick coming back on.
Oh,
to record to get us ready for our 150th episode. We'll talk more about that as we get closer. Yeah, because this week was 145, so that means only 5 more weeks, and we are at 150. So, did you ever think we'd get to 145, much less 150?
Oh yeah, we're gonna get at least 2,000.
Do you know how many years 1,000 is?
No.
I do.
But 25, that would be, 25 years, give or take.
No, it's 18 years.
18? Oh, okay.
It's somewhere between 18 and 19.
50-something weeks. Okay, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's just until retirement. Makes perfect sense.
So if we were to do it for 18 years, let me do the math fast in my head. I would be 74. So, yeah, that'd be about right.
I mean, there are different retirements. You might be retired from the office job by then, but that does not mean that you would be retired from the podcast, right?
I mean, unless something bizarre happens, I enjoy doing a podcast. It's just talking for a few minutes and whatever. But yeah, it's no, I look forward to the day to where I can retire from the office, but I will never just not do anything. It just
boring.
Makes sense. Yeah.
There's only so much you can see on Netflix without going crazy.
Yeah, I am getting my drink out. I almost grabbed the Seagrams that I had, the one last Seagrams I had, ginger ale, but I got my lime again. Let's go ahead and get into what little news there was, at least in my opinion. This one came out yesterday. CloudFormation hooks. What could go wrong with this? It allows customers to invoke custom logic to automate actions or inspect configurations prior to a create, update, or delete CloudFormation stack operation. So now we have hooks.
Who's using CloudFormation?
I know quite a few people that are.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Because I've asked them point blank, I went, okay, I mean, I understand CloudFormation. I get why you're all in on AWS. You're using CloudFormation, but why did you not pick Terraform? Typically, is the counterpoint.
Exactly. Terraform, Ansible, Pulumi, anything.
Yeah, and they said, well, CloudFormation's inside AWS, and they're going to support it. I went, okay. Can't argue with that point. I can't argue that point.
Sure. But
it's like,
but that's kind of invalid point. That's kind of as if that automatically means that others are not going to support AWS. Right? I mean, it's a valid argument, yeah. But what makes anybody think that Terraform will not support AWS?
Especially when, I mean, AWS is going to be supported. It is the 800-pound gorilla. It's not possible. And in fact, AWS, Azure, and GCP will always all be supported. Period.
Exactly.
Now, will Hetzner and DigitalOcean and Linode always be supported? Not at the same level.
Exactly. I mean that depends. Linode, DigitalOcean is similar. They depend more on Linode folks and DigitalOcean folks than anything else. But things like AWS, even if AWS decides not to invest a single hour anymore in Terraform, that will still be supported by people, right?
Yeah. Now, you can get started. There's sample hooks published in the CloudFormation public registry. I didn't even bother to look at this. I have to look at it now. So it takes me to docs, which then Takes me to more docs. And then I have to log in. Okay, so that's not a registry. What's a public registry? Come on, people. That's not a public registry. This is docs. That's just, they were kidding with me. But anyway, you can author hooks using the CloudFormation CLI, publish to your own private registry. Okay, so that's actually pretty cool. So if you wanted to create your own action, again, I'm guessing under the hood it's Lambda-ish, if not being powered by Lambda. But here we go, sample hooks. Here we go. Finally, okay, it's on GitHub. I'm not going to go there. So let's go Java hooks just because Java hooks. EFS must encrypt. Okay, that seems like a pretty good rule. And source, main, handlers. Okay, so let's pre-create. Let's see what that looks like. Base hook handler. Set it up, do the things. Seems really noisy, but makes sense. So it's a policy, if you will. Yeah. Right? It's
hooks.
I mean, it's hooks, right? I mean, think about, we've had Git hooks for years. We had Subversion hooks for years. Hooks are a good thing, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you're bored. Move on. Okay. That works.
No, I'm not bored. I'm already thinking of something else, entertaining myself.
You're bored. You're bored. Okay, anyway. Now, one more item from AWS this week. AppRunner finally has VPC support. How long has AppRunner been out?
I mean, I don't know how that worked without VPC support, but okay.
So now you can have a VPC, which means you can now connect to databases or stuff. You're not having to go across the public internet again. It just...
Nice.
All right, so finally they caught up and made it what I would consider base usable. If you're now with AppRunner, if you were running something that was quote unquote stateless, it was fine, right? It wouldn't have mattered if you had no backing store or anything else. But
yeah, I mean, if you're not like our website, right? Yeah, of course, sure, why not? But I guess that most of AWS services are not aimed at that type of customers. We are not really giving them any money.
So anyway, full example of this, how to do it, and all the things. So if you've been using AppRunner and you didn't catch that VPC support was added, there you go. Okay, Cloud Scheduler. I didn't even know this existed. What is it? Okay, it's from GCP, so we've changed vendors. So just hang out there for a second. So we are thrilled to announce, and today means today, this just came out about an hour ago. Google Cloud Scheduler, our enterprise-grade scheduling service. Now, when you hear scheduling, what do you think, Victor?
Yeah, now I'm not what I understand it is now, right?
Right.
I thought, hey, scheduling, Kubernetes type of, not necessarily Kubernetes itself, but this is a cloud version of a cron job, right?
Correct.
Looks like that.
Correct. It's now available, and it's been available, but now it's available in more GCP regions, and multiple regions can now be used from a single project, which is actually pretty cool. What to me was interesting, which I'd seen this before a long time ago. Used to, you'd have to create an app engine application in order to use Cloud Scheduler. Now that's no longer required.
Nice.
So if you're using GCP for scheduling, now it's just always there, however you want to run it.
Yeah. I mean, if you're using GCP and not for scheduling, if you're using GCP and you need cron job, now you have it.
You're being very
so
snarky
people don't
today.
get confused.
Okay. But what's interesting is they do have these implementation details. So they have some that are HTTP targets, so create HTTP. They have some that are for pub sub. And then if you had the app engine, if you wanted that, which is now an if, no longer a requirement. So
yeah. Especially excited about the pub sub part.
Why?
I like the messaging whole idea, right? You publish a message and then instead of me triggering with HTTP, right? I publish a message to PubSub in this case or anything similar, and then whomever needs to do something does something. Not my problem.
That's what I've always said. I've never understood why everything had to be hardwired together. Everything should be events in some way, shape, or form. But.
I mean, let's face it, much of applications, third-party applications that we use are not prepared for that, right? And on the first look, it looks easier also to kind of just send a message, right, to that application directly, and that application does something. But on a complicated system pops up, simply events make more sense. They're easier, actually, not harder, even though it doesn't look like it's easier.
Yeah. I want to jump back for just a second. Moz brought up here, I think CloudFormation is used heavily to create templates on AWS. I want to go one more step beyond that. There are, I mean, if anything's in Marketplace, it's CloudFormation. Bottom line, you can't put anything in Marketplace that's not CloudFormation. But I'm thinking specifically right now, EKS Cuddle. EKS Cuddle under the hood. It's CloudFormation. So now that's actually pretty cool. That's actually a pretty cool feature now with hooks and EKS Cuddle married together.
Oh, yeah. I mean, CloudFormation is in a way indispensable for many, many different applications. I'm just questioning how useful is CloudFormation to end users, right? Now, yes, from perspective of EKS Cuddle, CloudFormation, now hooks and stuff, that's extremely interesting. I wouldn't be surprised, I haven't seen the details, but I wouldn't be surprised that Terraform itself uses CloudFormation under the hood for quite a few things, and so on and so forth. So I might be wrong about Terraform, right? But many, many different applications that are working on top of AWS are using CloudFormation. So CloudFormation is extremely important. I'm just not sure whether people should use it directly. That's all.
I wonder if the CDK? There
is CDK and ACK.
Which one am I trying to remember?
I don't know which one you're talking about.
I think it's probably the CDK. I think no matter which, I mean, if you're calling, here's my question. I wonder if when you're calling AWS APIs, which whether it's CDK or using the CLI or whatnot for provisioning assets, if under the hood, when you're making the API call, if they're doing some sort of hidden under the hood translation to CloudFormation on the backside of that API.
You mean internally, AWS?
Internally, yeah. We wouldn't be able to see it maybe, but I wonder if that's what they're doing.
I don't think so. I think it's the other way around, kind of that CloudFormation is calling API, and then you as a vendor or owner of some project, you can choose to go directly to API, you can assemble it through CloudFormation. What I'm not sure is whether CDK and SEK are using CloudFormation behind the scenes or going directly to API. That part I'm not sure.
Okay. So we jump back to AWS. Anything you want to talk else about the scheduler thing? Probably not. It's just, it's been there, but I'd forgotten about it. And now there's more places.
I did not know until now that it existed. I mean, of course it existed. When you think about it, how can they not have a cron job? But yeah, nice.
Okay. One other vendor. And this came out last week, and it didn't hit my feeds until, for whatever reason, this week.
Oh, man, now I'm excited.
Well, are you? Because...
I mean, if it's really HA.
Well, it is, number one. So anyway, here, let's just look at it. You can choose between a standard or high availability. The HA control plane gives you increased availability for blah, blah, blah. So we know that, okay, HA single point, right. Ensures 4 nines, okay. Makes it easy to add HA to existing clusters, okay. Customized worker nodes, okay, what does that have to do with HA for the control plane? And blah, blah, blah. Billed at $60 per cluster per month. That's more than everybody else, or is it comparable to everybody else? I haven't priced
I'm not
recently.
sure about prices. I'm never sure about pricing. Don't keep that in my head. But this is, it all depends how you define HA. What this really means is that it will run, control plane will run on 3 nodes. my understanding, I might be wrong, right? It will run on 3 nodes instead of 1 node for a control plane, which is a great improvement. Now, if I would play devil's advocate, I would say actually to have real HA, those 3 nodes should be running in different data centers, what we call zones or whatever it's called in a vendor. They're not getting that far, right? Simply because, I'm guessing, I might be wrong, right? But I saw below it says that there are 11 data centers.
Yeah.
And really, 11 data centers cannot be, there we go, right? So those are 11 regions. I'm pretty sure that they would mention each of those having different. That would be then actually 33 as a minimum data centers, which is not the case.
Right. Which, yeah, I think the way they say their data centers, this is a data center.
Exactly.
It's a physical one-box data center versus, unlike the big three, they don't think in data centers, they think in availability zones, which are made up of multiple data centers.
Exactly. I mean, when you, if you have, I don't know, in US East of AWS, I think 5 zones or something like that, that's effectively 5 data centers. It's just that they're close to each other, relatively speaking. Speed of light type of close.
Right. But even if you go through and look at the documentation for how they do their AZs, even broken down within a AZ, they will have multiple physical data centers.
Oh, yeah.
So
yes. So kind of 3 as a minimum, right? 3 data centers is a minimum, and it's normal. To be honest, kind of I do not expect Linode to have multiple zones. That would be a killer, right? Simply they're not the size that would allow them to have 3 zones. Just as DigitalOcean doesn't have 3 zones in a region, and Civo doesn't have 3 zones in a region. Simply that would be insanely expensive, right? And not appreciated by the types of the users that they have. Because how many Linode users are really looking forward and willing to pay for the privilege of having 3 collocated data centers, still completely separated? Not worth it.
Yeah, I agree. And it appears to be very simple. You just say, checkbox, upgrade to HA. Have a nice day. I mean, that's what you want, right?
I mean, I don't think that there should be that checkbox, to be honest. I think it's their responsibility. If you're giving me managed Kubernetes, it's your responsibility to make sure that control plane is up and running, right? Your problem, your responsibility. There is no need for you to ask me, right?
Right, but this is a money thing, right? Do you want HA or not? Because it costs me as a vendor more money to run it in HA for you. So do you want to save money or do you not want to save money?
Yeah, no, fair enough. It's just that I think that should still not be. There should be a flat rate and then simply HA always, right?
I disagree, but that's okay.
Maybe. You're probably right. I mean, there are probably users. I mean, you're right. When you think about it, if I have only 1, 2, maybe 3 nodes cluster, do I really want 3 control planes? Probably not.
No. If it's a production-like environment or a production environment, then yeah, I probably do.
Yeah, no, makes sense. You're right.
But I'm going to go back on myself. If all 3 nodes are in the same physical data center because of Linode's actual infrastructure, is that such a great thing? I mean,
it is.
It is. And I'm assuming the baseline, each of those nodes are in separate racks on separate power on separate network switches, right? Just the baseline kind of things.
Yeah, but even if they're not on separate, right?
Yeah.
What is most likely going to fail is a server before the data center fails. Kind of that's more likely failure, right? And having, even if it's in the same networking, same rack, same whatever, that server goes down, that VM goes down, you're safe. Now you're not safe if the data center goes down, but you're still safer than if you have only one, right?
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's kind of thinking about what is more likely. Let's face it, the chances of whole data center going down are much smaller, infinitely smaller than the chances of a VM going down.
Yeah, that's true. All right, anyway, regardless of how we feel about it, it's available now, which I still don't think DigitalOcean has gotten there yet. Have they? Do you remember?
Yeah, I'm not sure not only whether they got there, but whether they advertise it or no. You know, in some cases you don't hear. Some providers tell you this is managed Kubernetes cluster. It's our problem whether it's like this or like that, right? Control plane. So I'm not sure whether that's a known thing with DigitalOcean. Maybe.
Okay. So next up, Kyverno 160 came out this week. And the interesting part to this is they had initially in 150 had come up with a way to verify images, but now in 1.6 they're including cosign.
Nice.
For verification, with specifically for keyless. So I did a video on cosign. Did you do a video on cosign yet?
Not yet. Not yet.
It's pretty cool how it works. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. But they added that in, and then let's see what it is. Built-in image data to validate image configs. They go through a whole bunch of bullets there, whereas improved performance, blah, blah, blah. Fault tolerance, which is a good thing. But it was funny because if you had to, which was funny, Kyverno users encounter difficulties in shutting down and restarting clusters without properly terminating Kyverno. How many people are shutting down and restarting clusters? Obviously a lot, since it's the beginning sentence here.
Yeah, I mean, you know, not necessarily a lot. So I would bet it's actually a very limited number of people. If you exclude cases where you're having a demo cluster, like I create a cluster every day, but that's not a real cluster. That's for me trying things, right? So if you exclude those cases, if you're talking about production clusters, I don't think that people do those things often.
Yeah, other than playing, I can't imagine it. But it was just funny that they also fixed that. So
yeah, nice.
It's that kind of operational thing that people just don't think. It's like, why would people shut down their clusters? Why would people restart their clusters? Well, they do. So new operators for you can do any in, all in, any not in, all not in. So now it's helps with preconditions.
No, that's now we're entering dangerous territories, I think.
Why do you think that?
What distinguishes, let's say, Kyverno from, let's say, OPA is that you have a very easy way to write your policies, right? You write YAML, and that's about it. You have, on the other hand of the spectrum, OPA that uses Rego, which is complex, but you can justify Rego by saying, hey, I can do things that I cannot do simply in YAML, right? And now it's normal that Kyverno is going now towards adding complexity to that YAML, but that's also dangerous because you might reach a tipping point that you say, okay, so if I'm going to use all those things and define them in YAML, do I want really to have YAML? That's the same problem that I feel that we have with templating engines like Helm. Like, how far do you want to go by doing some form of templating in YAML before you just say, okay, if I really need this, let me fire up Go, JavaScript, Python, whatever, and do it.
Yeah. Templating starts to break down, and when you take templating too far, it will break.
Yeah.
In all sorts of glorious ways.
We need those things, just to clarify.
Yeah.
So I agree for adding those. I'm just saying that you might reach a tipping point where it becomes too much.
Right. And these four make sense. I mean, these, because this is just a more clarification. I guess it's really because of all versus any, right? That's the breakdown, and it's just the not versions of it too. So it's whatever it is. They also added in, or made a change to greater than, whatever. They've added in some new filters. I don't know if that will make you feel happy or sad. and some extra for each stuff. So anyway, I consider this a fairly big update to Kyverno.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Okay. ValidKube, powered by Commodore.
Yeah.
Which we've had them on the podcast before. So this is a YAML Validator. And the example that I have here, I just loaded in from clicking on example. So if I do clear and I click on example, it loads up. So it's a deployment for Nginx with some weird things in it to make it break. So if I click on run, down here at the bottom, you can select 3 tabs. So in my case, I had secure selected, and it goes off and just gives us all the different problems that are with this from a security perspective. If I click on validate, and I click on run, I think it run it when I did that. And then finally, for clean, it will give you a clean format for whatever. Free project. You can run it right here. You can also get it on GitHub. Commodore,
Nice.
It's upper H for GitHub.
Exactly.
I don't know why that bugs me so much, but it does.
It bugs me a lot as well. But it's nice.
By
my
the
only
way,
complaint is that, yeah.
Now, I got one more. So I was looking here at GitHub, lower H. Okay, so I'm sort of over that. But look at ValidKube. And
I didn't want to say anything.
ValidKube.
I'm not. Yeah.
I'm not being mean,
okay.
but let's. And it's in a few other places. You know what? This is probably a. All right, here. Can we do this?
That's what it is.
Can we front end, back end? Okay, where is the site? Can I put in a pull request? Can I put in a pull request? Let's see.
Sure you can.
I don't see it.
I
I would have expected it to be in a separate repository. Maybe not. Oh, it's the front end. It's in front end, I bet.
Yeah.
Here,
But
let's see.
go back. Is it only front end? Or
No, it's a
there
front end.
is CLI?
No, there is a.
If
Sorry.
you go to ValidKube, what does it say down?
We have a front end, back
The
end.
README.
The README is those 3. So it's under the hood. It's using Trivy for secure. Okay. It's using kubectl neat for clean and kubeval. Which one is it? Do you remember?
kubeval, I think.
Kubeval for verifying. So they're leveraging other tools. That's fine. Yeah. But you can run it yourself, right? You don't have to use ValidKube. You could run this yourself by saying make deploy. Or I guess that's deploying the backend. Where's it going? So it has to run on AWS, and you have to have serverless.
Okay, that's kind of strange.
Okay.
Okay, but that's probably because, look, that's probably...
Here's a local, yeah.
Yeah, and that's how they built it. It was not built so that people can run it everywhere probably, but initially it was built so that it runs in AWS because that's where they are running the service itself, right?
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure if somebody makes changes to make it run as elsewhere, that will work as well, right?
Yeah. But it would be
my only
go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
My only complaint is that if I'm writing YAML, I might prefer VS Code plugin or CLI. That's my only complaint, right? Because I'm not sure that I would like to be switching back and forth to Web UI always. Maybe for some details.
Well, I mean,
probably.
And Moz called it out, and I'll say it looks like kubeval. Well, it is, because under the hood, it's using these 3 tools.
Yeah.
So this is just aggregating the access to all of these have CLIs. So you wouldn't need this to run that. It's just a matter of having a single place to go to do all 3 things.
True.
They're just wrapping
Makes sense.
But it still needs some pull requests. I'll see how much time I have left this weekend. I might put in a pull request. Anyway, Okay, so over there. Okay, this one. I really wanted this to work. It was just a little toy.
Wait, what is it? What is it first?
Okay, Subaru. It's a fortune command written in Golang. It's a week old.
Isn't there a car brand?
There's
Subaru?
Yeah, there's car brands. Yeah.
Okay.
So it prints philosophy statements or wise sayings. Okay, and I'll show you but I'll show you the example in a minute. But how to install? Okay, first off, no packages. We do have releases, and tags.
Okay.
So you know what this means, right? You want to install it, you have to install Golang and do a Go install.
Oh, okay. I mean, I'm fine with Go, right? But I don't think that.
Yeah.
That's.
But they're already using GitHub Actions. Why not? And they're already doing just do a release.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Exactly.
So let me just get
Let's
over
go.
that.
It compiles. Making binaries literally 2 minutes of work required.
I don't know. Anyway, you can have random output. So you can say Subaru and it'll give you a Nietzsche command. Or you can say Subaru Atari and it'll give you an Atari or output. And if you say Subaru Atari, it'll give you an Atari output.
I like it. Now, you know what I would miss from there? Is kind of to have that as auto response to some of my emails. You know when you receive random stuff that don't make any sense because people are just sending random emails to random people? This would be a great autoresponder.
So for when things are completely random, give us something else random back.
Yeah, exactly.
You're increasing entropy is what I'm hearing.
Yep.
I haven't gone through the code, but that was I just thought it was interesting. That's all I'm going to say. It was just and again, I was just sort of whining that come on, just give me a binary. Because then I could use and you don't have to give me a brew. I could just because if you give me a binary here, we saw it last week, stew. I could use stew to automatically install it for me. But no, they didn't do that for me. Maybe I'll put a PR in and get a release workflow put in. Okay. Your video this week.
Yeah.
You were teasing it a little bit earlier. You were questioning events.
Yeah, in this video, I'm heavily advocating for events. Heavily. Not as the only way. So I think that judging by some comments, I did not explain myself well in that video. It sounded probably as if I'm saying use events always. I don't think that you should use events always. You should do direct messaging sometimes. But events are a good thing. And they're more natural, even though it doesn't sound. I think that we have that problem, right? That we are so used to things that are not really that intuitive, but simply because we are doing it for many, many years in this industry, it becomes intuitive, right? But the synchronous messaging makes so much more sense simply because that's how life works.
So the way you just said that, though, is key. You said asynchronous messaging, not asynchronous calls. Synchronous calls are simple. I ask, I get a direct answer. Or it times out, right? I have an exception, whatever it is. But an async call, I still can't get my head around that. But an async message, that's simple, right? It's like, here's the message. You gave me back I got it, thanks. Okay, good.
Think of it as Slack, right? Yeah. I have a problem. I type in Slack, right? I have a problem with this. I don't know who's going to answer. Somebody's likely to answer, or maybe 5 people are going to answer. I'm just sending a message, and then somebody is listening to it, and somebody might be responding. That's how it works in real life, kind of outside of microservices, right?
Yeah, I guess it's sort of along the lines of if you send a Slack message to a group, that's more like event messaging. Whereas if you send a DM to somebody, that's more like an async that's an async call.
Exactly.
I still have a problem with async calls, though. just coding for it, it just feels weird because to me, that's a very brittle connection.
That's because when you do async calls, you're probably doing them with HTTP, right?
Yeah.
And HTTP is designed to be synchronous, right?
That's true.
And then when we do async usage of it, we are basically in a way faking it in a way, right? We are doing workarounds.
Well, if you're doing async calls, that's effectively an ephemeral message bus,
Yes.
right?
Yes. I mean,
'Cause
it depends how you implement it, right? I can
Yeah.
send message to you directly, and you respond with ACK, and then sometime later you send message to me, right?
Right.
Which is in a way asynchronous. I mean, it's
Yes.
not in a way; it is asynchronous.
It is,
Asynchronous
yeah.
direct messaging.
Yeah. As long as you get that ACK, then who cares? But and you said this was the
Anyway.
first of, right?
Yeah. So the reason why, I did not plan to do this one. I was planning to do the one that is coming this Monday, and then, well, which I'm not going to say what it is about. But while I was working on it, I was, hey, this is going to be a very long introduction to the video that I want to do. So I split it into two. Kind of, this is more talk about theory, and the next one is implementation of that same talk. You're muted.
I'm not muted anymore. I try to get all the buttons right, and it still fails. So that's about it, right? There's nothing else going on. That's
Nothing special. That one, and then actually, I already prepared the one for after that. So this is one of the rare times that I'm actually ahead of the schedule. It won't happen again.
Is it done recorded or is it planned?
Done recorded, but that's the difference from the past. Kind of like before, it was the only thing that matters is done. Now it's done recorded, meaning that it's not done, but I'm not doing anything else.
You're not doing the done.
Yeah, I'm reviewing kind of, right, and make sure that everything is fine, but not doing the done part.
Well, we could say the stupid thing like people say in meetings, well, we'll just give you 20 minutes back of your time. Please. You took 40 minutes of my time.
Exactly.
Anyway. We'll probably just go and wrap it up. For the people that are live here with us, thanks for being live. If you can go ahead and click on the thumbs up before you leave, that'll help. And if you're new here and watching the replay, go ahead and subscribe. Again, the podcast comes out on Wednesdays at 6 a.m. I don't even remember who or what's coming out this week.
Something.
It is something. It's done. It's been done for a couple weeks. But we've got a lot of guests coming up. I can't remember what this coming week is. I think it's the first of no, I don't remember. We have a lot of guests coming up. We have like 6 guests in a row coming up. Some that are very interesting, especially if you're looking for a new job.
Exactly.
That it could become very helpful for you. So, just fair warning. Okay. Anything else? Are you done? I think I'm done.
That's it, I think.
Okay. Well, thanks everybody for being with us live here today, and we will be here. You're home next week too, right?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. All right. I thought you were. Okay.
Next
Whatever.
Friday, yeah.
Yep. Okay. Thanks everybody. We'll see you again next week.